today with some private sector stakeholders, public sector stakeholders, and NGOs, basically sampling what we term as community tourism products. And this is something that's very important for the ministry, because as we look at sustainable tourism, we realize that the local participation and the local ownership of tourism products is very important for, of course, the local people benefiting directly from tourism. And so this can only be done if we do it through the community tourism project. So we've been working with the Community Development Division, with the GEF Small Grants Program and other communities to develop a series of projects and programs that we can then market as the community tourism projects. And the Barnes Hill community is one such project that we are basically focusing on. So today we're basically giving some private sector and some other stakeholders just a feel of what it is that has been happening in the different communities, have their input and their technical expertise to say what it can be continued, what needs to be done to kind of develop that product so that it is marketable to the visitor.
We in Community Development Division are promoting village as a business, and we see this as a community tourism project where, based on the development of this project, it can be a site for tourists to come and enjoy. We are very pleased to be working with the Barnes Hill New Winthrop Community Group in terms of providing funding via the GEF Global Environmental Project. And we are also seeking funding under another livelihood project so that this project can be completed in terms of not only the reservoir catchment, but other amenities to attract tourists. The main aim is to have it develop into a full-fledged park with other guest houses, restaurants, and so that the people of this community can ply their trade and sell their locally made things, because the tourists are not just looking for sun, sea and sand. They're looking for heritage, they're looking for village life, they're looking to sample the local cuisine, and all these things will be done on this site at this project.
2 years ago we came up with the plan to start this community organization, and we set our sights immediately on the restoration of this reservoir, which was part of the Governor Fines initiative, trying to solve some of the drought problems that the country was having at the time. This one in particular was started in 1890, completed in 1893, and commissioned in the December of that same year. It has not been in use for almost a quarter of a century. Part of the plan is to make this facility be declared a National Heritage Site. We did the homework very early, and they said if it's going to be that, you have to try and maintain the original form as much as possible. That is why we have not touched a lot of the stonework, even though the providers of the concrete were a little messier than we would have liked. Some things you just have to live with, the collateral damage, I suppose. But we went back to the domed roof. When we got here, we found a lean-to sort of situation where the rain would collect on the roof, go back on the runoff or the catchment area, and then go back into the holding tank. We went back for the dome roof, and not boasting, but I think we probably have the most beautiful looking reservoir on island.
We welcome you, come and visit, and we're really hoping that the word will get out that we are a lovely place to visit.
Make sure that we plant things that don't need a lot of water, because Antigua is a drought island, and we call it the whole garden is water wise, so you don't have to water.
Does the plant propagate from the seeds?
Yes, from the seeds, and it looks really good when it propagates from the seed. You will see the bulb roots, and they practically grow wild. Periwinkle, they come in pink, red, and white. The pink is the almost native to Antigua, and it self-seeds as well. Okay. We have frangipani, the frangipani trees, we don't have to water them. Petilantis, the hummingbirds love it. Early in the morning you will see the hummingbirds. They're getting their nectar from these petilantis. Okay, again, as you see, they have a sort of cactus quality where water is not necessary. This is our main aim, to have a garden, a pretty garden, without having to water and fertilize. These are a form of agave, agave gardens. These are almost like desert-like, you know, and we have, as I said, various varieties of agave. This is, we planted this tree from a tiny little one like that. This is the foxtail palm. Moses' boat or Moses in the cradle. Sometimes the little flower inside, they say, is the little baby. Moses' baby from the bulrushes, but we call it Moses boats. And as you can see, we use them as to divide the garden. You don't have to put fencing or anything, and they line the path. These again, water-wise, and plant them themselves too. We planted them along here, you know, they could come into the garden. On the verge outside, we have those that it is part of it's part of one of our national flowers, but they call it the dagalog. Dagalog is an agave. Okay.
In the earliest, they used to use them to make rope.
Our horticultural flower show and garden show, we sold off most of our plants, so we're starting again. And you see, we have the local poinsettia that comes up at Christmas. We sold quite a few of them. They're easy to come. You don't have to buy them for $150 in the supermarket. This is our logo shop, where we have many items with the agave. As I'm wearing one now, this is the agave plant. And as you know, this place is called the Agave Gardens, and this is the agave logo shop. We have aprons and napkins and t-shirts, cushions, and cushion covers.
We started working on it 4 years ago. So everything here was done by the local members and anybody else who wanted to help. We decided to keep this area open for anyone who wants to visit. The gardens are based on what we call water-wise planting. We identified plants that need little water. We have concentrated on aloes, we've concentrated on agave being the name of the gardens, which is the national flower, as you know. We have lots of desert roses and a variety of other cactus and succulent type plants. The garden is invited anyone who would like to have a specialty garden to come and maybe donate their time, their plants, and we'd be happy to welcome them. We need help to keep the gardens going. We need help to open the garden, and you know, the weather, depending on if we have rainfall or we have high winds, all of those, you know, normal elements that all gardeners face. We face a lot of that. In addition to the garden, we have this building, which is our agave home. We have meetings once a month for 6 months of the year. We visit gardens, we do garden courses. We just completed a floral designing course, and we will start with a backyard gardening course. So there's a lot of activity centered in our agave gardens. Future plans is to involve a lot of the schools and a lot more people. We are expanding the garden to make it a destination. We really are hoping one of these days that Agave Gardens will become the destination for everybody who visits. A green space to relax, have some lemongrass iced tea, and enjoy our local flora. We also want to go to the Chelsea Flower Show in England. That's one of our big dreams as a horticultural society, to compete, because we were there before and all the other islands seem to compete in the Chelsea Flower Show. And we want Antigua to be a part of that. It's a wonderful opportunity for incredible promotions for our island. The greenhouse is very important because we use it as a sort of a test kitchen. We take a sample or cutting from every plant in our garden, and we grow it in the greenhouse. And consequently, we have surplus so we can sell it. Obviously, we're not in the business of being a flower seller, but we have lots of lovely plants and at a very reasonable cost. And you can come in and take a look, understand how they grow, and buy a plant.
Tropical Gardens started from a little collection from 1989. I came back from university and I started with a few plants that I brought back from some of the islands like Venezuela, Trinidad, and Barbados and Guyana. So I started with these plants. I have to have a place to start them. So it has grown for about 29 years, and this is what we have now: 4 acres of a wide range of tropical, plants of medicinal value, ornamental, some ornamental, food, beverage. We have just developed what we call a botanical learning and training center. The term botanical has to do with botany, botanical garden. So persons who want to learn anything botanical, right? Any botanical topic, here's a place to learn. This we are building is a juice and beverage bar. In the beverage and juice bar, we'll have like sugarcane juice, a lot of other different juices, citrus juices, and we'll also have beverage because we are developing a number of plants for beverage. We have a plant we call Clitoria with a blue flower, and we're going to develop that flower into a blue tea, right? So whereas the green tea, brown tea, we're going to have blue tea and we're going to have red tea. Yeah, the hibiscus flower is also very good for making a tea. So we have a lot of bushes in this place that we can make tea bush. Suriname cherry, it originates from South and Central America. It's a fruit that can be very, very sweet, but it has a flavor to it that people, if you're not accustomed to it, you may not like it. But once you get to like it, you will like it very much because it's a very good fruit, like the West Indian cherry or the Barbados cherry. They just like to claim a lot of things, right? Which are not theirs really, because for all of us. But anyway, it's just like a cherry. It's rich in vitamin C, and even the bush is known in Suriname and in South America. They use the bush to make for a remedy for flu and all of that. This tree, as you look at, is now in bloom, and the fragrance. I don't know if you can smell it. No, this is called the Berum tree, or what we know as Christmas bush. The flavor of your porridge, I can still remember those days as a boy when we used to eat all these rice porridge, and and the taste of this beautiful leaf of the tree. This tree is the leaves are used for flavoring a lot in Grenada. Grenada is known as Spice Island. They use it quite a lot. They even export quite a lot of it. But the leaf can also be distilled to give a oil we call bay oil. And the bay oil mixed with ethanol 2-to-1 is why you get bay rum. There's so many stories about the cocoa, right? If you travel to Central America, there are so many stories they will tell you about the cocoa. Even they make a drink for royalty from the cocoa and the chili pepper. But the cocoa is where you get your Ovaltine, Milo, and cocoa butter and all that products from. And if you look here, you see you have the nice flowers, some little fruits, and you see some fruits they already formed. And this cocoa tree was badly affected by the storm. This is tree spinach. All these leaves are very edible, and they are rich in nutrients, power pack with nutrients. And it reminds me of the Maya Indians of Central America and Mexico, right? These people used to feed on these. In those days, these Indians like to just gather. So if you notice the tree that grows, it can grow by itself. You don't have to cultivate it too much. You just have to have it, It grows well, but the leaves are very nutritious, and the stem. You only have to boil it. You boil it like a spinach, and that's why they call it tree spinach. Banana fruit, some people call it cane fig. They also call it cow okra, tui. But it is a virtual healing plant, especially for kidney ailments, diabetes, It's widely used in traditional medicine in the Mexican communities. This cucumber is called coccinea. It's also called a wild cucumber. The fruits are edible, but it's very, very powerful. You see some small fruits up there. You need to, maybe in a day or two, you need to pick those fruits. The African bitter leaf is known in Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa, to cure a lot of ailments. But inside the leaves are packed with nutrients, just like a spinach, but it is bitter. What the African people will do, they wring it a little bit and boil it. Especially in Nigeria, it's popular to make in a Nigerian sauce, bitter leaf sauce, or bitter leaf soup. You could see the internet, they show you how to make it and things. Right? They make the cocoa yam and thing also added to it. But in Cameroon, they make something we call endole. Endole is like a soup as well with meat, and it is known to give you like stamina. The pussytails belong to a family we call Acalifers, right? And one thing about the pussytail, if you notice, the leaves are straight green. But this is another califer. But this califer is called Match Me If You Can, or Joseph Court. Some of them have medicinal properties as well, for traditional medicine. Yeah, but
What is it?
this is the same wild
Century,
cucumber.
okay, right.
This is very hard to kill because there's another plant we call glycerine. Many people don't know glycerine, right? But glycerine is something you make as a medicine. Very, very good for a traditional medicine as well. But you will have a seed to know it. It runs just like this one. This particular tree is a black sapote, and they also call it the black persimmon. If you notice, the trunk is black, and it bears tremendous amount of fruit. This is the chocolate fruit. The chocolate fruit. When I carry the chocolate fruit to the market, and only the white people love it because they are familiar with it. But it's a food that is rich in vitamin C. It can double the
What's the texture inside?
The texture inside is looking just like this. Just like this. Okay. The white sapote is it's a tree you want to know about. It belongs to the citrus family, and the fruits are the fruit is one of the sweetest food you can eat. You know, it's now making fruit. There are a lot of flowers, young fruits, and some big ones. And it's also referred to it as ebony, as the black and white. Yeah, even though look at the trunk down there, you see black, and this one is more white. There's no pest that will bother this tree except the sooty board. So you try to get it to become black. That's the only problem you could get. Otherwise, it is free of pests and diseases. This is henna, and the leaves are very antiseptic, antifungal, and all of that. You can use the berries and the leaves are dyeing. For making a dye, you can dye your face and all of that. Yeah. So
Your hair, they use it.
yeah, and also beard.
Henna.
Yes. While we have the lavender around, it helps to keep some insect away. Both the lavender and the marigold. This traditional medicinal plant is called Lord Lavington. Very good for the flu and cold and cough, all of that. It also can be used for some skin eruption because it's sort of antiseptic. And these flower heads, some people also use the flower heads for floral arrangement. But these can be used to make, you can macerate these to make an insecticide that will kill insects and other plants. This is called allspice tree. Pimento. And why it is called pimento? Because it's not flowering, but it bears some berries, and the berries in the cooking give you a flavor of nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove. That's why it's called allspice. But the leaves are very aromatic. You can also use for seasoning your food. This is the black grape. All these leaves are edible, right? You can make tea. It's one of the best trees for like internal bleeding. This is this flower. Clitoria.
Where you getting there from?
Because of the human clitoris. It resembles, and it resembles the human clitoris, but it's a plant that's also very good for the human female.
For what purposes?
Number of purposes, especially normalizing the menstrual cycle and all of that. Yeah, so there are a lot of information on that, but it also have, because of the blue color, it have a lot of antioxidants. So that's why we conserve a whole lot of it here, because we're going to color the flower and we're going to dry it and we're going to make tea bush. Yeah, this is where the bread come from. And all the pudding and all the cakes and everything. You know, this is right where it come from. But the wheat grass is known to give a juice that it is the best for your body. What we also want to point out that things like green with chlorophyll is just like blood, right? So it helps your blood once you eat things rich in chlorophyll. And that's why we advocate a green in your diet, along the other colors.
Mr. George, we want to thank you for this tour this afternoon. Like some of us were thinking, this is an all-day thing where we can come and just relax on the trees and hear about, you know, all the medicinal values and other values of these trees. But we appreciate the time that you spent with us, and like we had said, it was from the private sector, public sector and NGO community, so you'll be hearing back from us just with some pointers and probably some assistance that we could further give you as well.
I would hope so. So thank you very much, and I look forward to follow.
All right, great.